We got the U.S. Army's best recruitment tool was a video game. A throwback.
A long-running video game franchise was quietly laid to rest. And don't worry, I'm not talking about Sonic or Mario or Madden. As far as I know, those are all still safe. I'm talking about America's Army, which was made by America's actual army.
Good morning, soldier, and welcome to the M16 qualification range.
This game is quite possibly one of the most influential games ever made in terms of real-world impact, even though officially, it never sold a single copy. So let me back up a little bit. By the late 90s, the US Army didn't really have a very good public image. People thought of the Army as dirty, low-tech, and dangerous. And this was not good for recruitment.
I mean,
A
shit.
guy named Casey Wardinsky,
Biden
who
is
was then a
fighting.
colonel in the Army, wanted to do something to improve that image. I visited the Pentagon to talk to him a while back, when he was the Assistant Secretary of the Army under former President Trump. You were the man who convinced the Army that you should get into video
To
games.
make a video game.
What was that like?
Well, it was not as hard as you might imagine. It was 1999. Games are very vivid. They also had the benefit of being a direct communication channel with
Let me move my
young adults, right? You didn't have any mediation.
let me move my cam
And
so
that
I'm not
promise
fucking
of
up
direct, unmediated
anything.
communication with young people was enough to get the Pentagon to start funding a video game. So, just before July 4th, 2002, they presented America's Army
Guess I'll move
at a
myself down
massive
here.
video game convention in LA. They weren't exactly sure what people would think. I mean, who wants to play a video game made by the Army? It turns out, a lot of people. And the game got
Hold up.
overwhelmingly positive
Yeah, I'll move
reviews.
that later.
That's not to say that it was perfect. It made you start out with this boring mandatory boot camp mode where it lectures you about Army values. But after you finished that, America's Army was a really
That's when the
solid
gameplay
tactical
started.
shooter. But the
Oop.
biggest selling point was the price. See, America's Army ran on the same technology that was used by blockbuster titles like BioShock and Splinter Cell. But this game cost $0. This might not sound like a big deal now, but back in
But back then,
2002,
free
this
was good.
unheard
Free was
of.
based.
This might sound like a terrible way to make money, and it was. By
So let me turn on the
2009,
light,
the Army
another
had
light.
sunk around
There we
$33
go.
million into this thing. But the Army wasn't trying to make money. It was trying to make kids want to enlist.
The decision space where people are thinking about careers really starts at probably age 13-ish. And the United States spends a heck of a lot of money on high quality of life, right? Medical care, housing, educational opportunities. We kind of have an obligation to tell kids about that, both for the good of the Army and for the good of the kids. They don't have to choose it, but if they never knew, it would be a shame,
Yeah.
right?
And America's Army.
They said,
was
"Hey, bruh,
30% of
y'all like
Americans
video
aged 16
games?
to 24 had a positive impression of the Army because of the game.
It's like the same
And this
thing,
game had
bro.
More impact on recruiting. than
It's like
all
the same
other forms of
thing,
Army
good,
advertising
like-
combined. And so for years they kept
You
pumping
know,
out sequels.
You like
Now,
shooting
they officially pulled the
you
plug
like
on
shooting people
servers.
in game. You might like shooting people in real life,
You
dude.
might
It's
wonder why
kind
they
of
do that,
fun.
especially when
Like,
video games are more popular than ever. Well, two reasons.
you like benefits?
One is
We
it's
got
just not getting the
benefits.
numbers it used to. Last September, the Army did a study to see how many actual recruits their game was getting them. And they found that just 0.0002%
Yeah, who the
of
fuck would
players
actually do
were
that
actually signing
in
up to
today's
serve
age?
in real life. But also, they're pretty focused on their other video game initiative. Back in 2018,
Yeah, the esports
Army
division.
started up their own esports team. And now they're a handful of soldiers whose main job is to play video games online. And don't get me wrong, I've seen them play, and they're all really good. But their main purpose isn't really to win games. They hang out on Twitch, they play the same games that kids like, and they chat about their life in the Army in hopes that maybe some kids might also want to sign up. In retrospect, this was the next logical step. The America's Army game was a way
Yeah,
to entice kids
I'm an
to come
esports
to the
pro
Army.
for the
This time,
U.S.
the Army's going
Army.
directly to where the kids are. But this has gotten them a lot of criticism from people who say that video game streams should not be a recruiting space.
What do you say to a parent who says, hey, I don't feel comfortable having the Army have a direct line into my kid's bedroom?
You're the parent.
See, with that shit, I know what he's gonna say. He's gonna say the same thing I'm about to say. If you have a problem with someone advertising, let's say the Army or really anything to your child directly, you do realize that you, as a parent, have the ability to just be like, yeah, we're not watching that anymore. You know, we're going to cut that off. That's going to be on your block list. You know, because you can set up multiple different things. You can literally set up on your own internet provider, on your television, whatever. You can set up things to where that site is blocked. You know, it's the same thing schools do. It's the same thing like jobs do, where certain sites are restricted because they don't want you being on that site. So just have a more active role in monitoring your kids' internet use, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it. But it's not like they're like going into your house, slapping you in the face, punching you in the face, and then being like, "Hey kid, you're gonna sign up right now. Here's the paper. Here's the paper." You know. So I don't know.
What are you doing about it? We're not your child's parent. We're the United States Army.
See?
Either way, the Army shifting from making their own game to just playing other people's games is probably a good strategy. It was costing them almost $1 million a year just for stuff like updating software and keeping their servers running. Compare that to the cost of what? Buying some computers and getting some soldiers to play video games? That's gotta be cheaper. Also, America's Army as a game just straight up isn't popular anymore. The kids have moved on to stuff like Call of Duty,
Yeah.
Fortnite, and that's
Call
why
of
having an
Duty,
esports team
Fortnite. I
becomes
love
very
Fortnite.
convenient.
I love
Because if
Fortnite.
those games go out of style, the Army
Hell
can just latch on
yeah.
to whatever's popular.
Bright
That being
colors.
said, there are some fans of the game out there who are sad to see it go.
You're gonna see Jay
So
up here.
we're curious to see what the father of the franchise
You're
would think after watching his 20-year-old
You're gonna see our
grandchild
buddy
being
Jay
laid to
on the
rest.
screen,
Did it tug
being
on
like,
my
"I want
heart?
America's Army
Probably not
back."
a lot. I'm a pretty analytical guy. These are taxpayer resources. Any good idea can reach, a point when times have moved on, or the cost of continuing it, doesn't measure up.
That's probably not what the fans want to hear, but it's not surprising. This whole
Fuck.
thing was always part of a larger mission. Kids might have had fun playing, but for Wardinsky and the actual Army, America's Army was never a game.
All right, boom. What? Am I like? Are you like indoctrinating me right now?
I'm Michael Learmonth, editor-in-chief of Vice News. Too often, traditional news outlets shy away from the real stories and experiences.
Okay, that's just random stuff in the end. That was cool. That was interesting.